Hi, everyone. I am Dr. Dream, and you're here for a sub-podcast of the It's All Good show. This is focused on EESystem Center owners around the world. And my guest today, this is really nice for me because I've had the pleasure and really honor of spending time with this particular EESystem owner, not just at her center in Austin, Texas, but also at some other events. And I have to say that it doesn't, she's very impressive. Let's just leave it at that. Her name is Denise Rodgers. She is, to say that this isn't her first rodeo is an understatement. She is a healer, spiritual teacher. She's been a death doula, radio personality, and all of this over the last 35 years. But it is what she has done as an EESystem owner that has really caught my attention. And as I said, it's nothing short of impressive. So let's kind of dive right in there. I mean, there's all sorts of good stuff here that we get to talk about. Denise, welcome to the It's All Good show. It's a pleasure to have you here.
Thank you. Thank you. This reminds me of my old radio days. So it's very fun for me.
I get the feeling, Denise, that anything that you do is really fun for you. You have an amazing energetic personality. We came to your center some time ago and brought our tour of love there. You and I had many phone calls leading up to it, and I couldn't wait to meet you in person. And your personality just comes through, whether it's over the phone or on Zoom, but in person. You really are bigger than life, and it was a treat. And we loved what we did at your center. We did two events that day, and it was great to see how you do things, and you had a really, really good team supporting you. And we know that is, like, none of us are here to do what we do on our own. It takes a good team. And that's not always the easiest to put together. But your people were so top notch and on top of everything and proactive. And we were there all day, and I got to watch them interact. I got to watch you just being, the sort of the puppet master and or the orchestra leader or whatever we want to call it. But I got to watch very specifically your team handling the clients and everything else, and it was fabulous. And the energy in the center was great. Now, that center doesn't exist anymore right now. You are in the process of creating something really amazing. Tell us a little bit about what's happening.
Well, as you recall, that space was very small. It was actually in a duplex in a chiropractor's office, and we had a pretty small room. We could seat about 10 people, but it was challenging because there were so many other people and practitioners in the building. We didn't have a lot of privacy. So we've been looking for a place for months and finally found a place in North Austin. And we've been for the last, I would say 6 weeks now, we've been building it out. So we were able to design it completely the way we wanted it. And so it's almost ready. And we've got, we're hoping to have a soft opening around December 12th. And so we'll be open for business on the 15th. And then we're going to have a big old party, ribbon cutting I'm kind of the queen of free media. And so we want to do something really big in January, which will mark the 3-year anniversary for when we signed our paperwork with EES. So it'll be a nice kind of return back to celebrate and having accomplished and healed so many people since then. It's been an incredible ride, and I'm so glad we did this.
That's fabulous. You have a reputation for being one of the most successful centers in the United States anyway. And what really set that reputation off is prior to opening the center 2 years ago or whatever it was, you all sold $65,000 in pre-sale sessions.
Yeah.
I mean,
I know.
I mean, that's amazing.
Yeah, we were overwhelmed already when that happened, because we were trying to get set up, get our system, get our booking, get our website, all of that. And so after the Tony Robbins video, everything went crazy. And so yes, now I want to back up because I don't want to take all the credit for that. Alistar in London, who you know well, he had already opened and had pre-sold, I think even more, maybe 80, maybe 80 grand. And so we were picking this guy's brain. And so the timing just happened to be really right for us. We were about the 120th center to open. And so what was cool about pre-selling is that by the time we got our equipment, we had the final payment for all of our equipment. So we really didn't have to put a whole lot out of pocket down on our equipment. So I would highly recommend pre-selling. And now that EES has all this new stuff with EEI and the lead generation, we've gotten, I don't know, like 65 leads just in the past 3 weeks. And really, that's great, because if you spend time with people, and I do, and that's part of our success. The number one thing, and you may recall when we went to Plano, where I guess we had already met by then. It's all about relationships. And my first experience with EES was at a center, not around here. And there were a couple of high school kids there checking us in. We got no instructions. We got no blanket. We got nothing but ushered to the room. And my sister and I fell asleep immediately. And we didn't know when the session was over. We didn't know anything. And so I think, and I knew this when we opened the center, that there would be a risk that people would see this as some kind of a cash cow, and they could just hire high school students to check people in and check people out and run people through like cattle. And I knew we were not going to do that. So, obviously I wouldn't have gone had I not been interested in EES and researched it well ahead of time anyway. But I would say that that's one of the things that I would highly recommend, is that I really did reach out and talk to every person who has been in our center. And you don't realize how valuable that is. I'm not going to recommend this for everybody, because I'm sure a lot of people are not going to want to do this. But believe it or not, I put everybody's name and phone number in my phone. Now, So anytime somebody called me back, I knew who was calling. And I also kept just a little composition notebook. Oh, I'm old school because I'm old. And everybody that I talked to, I had made copious notes about what their ailments were. And let me say, you don't ask people what their ailment is. You say, what are you in the process of healing? So wording it in a real positive way. So believe it or not, I did talk to every person, and sometimes these were extensive phone calls. Some for anywhere from 15 minutes to an hour even. And so that was the beginning of the relationships. And then when they would call me back, I could say, oh, EES Austin, hey, Doris, what can I do for you today? Now, do you know how? I know you do, but the impact when people know that you know them is so powerful. And that's why number one on my list is relationships. So I may have talked to a client 2 or 3 times because everybody's got questions. And until Michael gets all this EEI, response thing, however that works, that personal touch is so important. And so people, may call back and say, and maybe they've booked a session and they forgot to ask me something. And maybe it wasn't on the website, or maybe it was on the website and they just didn't see it. There's a lot of that. And so I may have talked to somebody or texted them 2 or 3 times before I actually met them at the center. So in the beginning, I had other people in this center so that I could be on the phone because, as you know, my reception area, my reception desk was Grand Central Station, and you've got to have the space and the time and the privacy to talk about sensitive health issues. So relationships. And so then when I was in the center, and they, oh, you're Denise. Oh, let me give you a hug. You were so great on the phone. So the relationship part, and as you know, we've had some struggles with marketing over the past year that are, is all getting straightened out. Hence the 60 leads we've gotten in the last couple of weeks. So we struggled. I got to say, we struggled, and we were able to stay open because of these relationships,
right.
And I know that the ones that didn't make it are the ones that didn't have relationships. So relationships are the number one thing. I'll share a quick story. It's a healing story. So I had talked to this gal who was kind of a semi-pro tennis player. And she had, they wanted to do a double hip replacement on her. Well, who wants to do that? And they had already gone in and scraped her hip bones. And it's like, oh my God, I can't even imagine what that felt like. So we talked, we got her set up. I wasn't in the center when she did her session. The next week, she calls. I see her on my caller ID. And I knew she had been in because I was looking right at the schedule and I had booked her. And I said, hey, Jean, let me back up. I saw that she had called 3 times, but she never left a message. So I thought, oh my God, my voicemail is full. And so I called her right back and said, Jean, I see that you called 3 times. How come you didn't leave a message? And she said, I was afraid I might start crying. And I said, "Oh no! What do you mean? What happened at your session last week?" And she said, "Well, I went in. I didn't really feel anything, which a lot of people don't feel anything, and some really sensitive people do." So she said, I didn't really feel anything, and I did my salt bath, and the next morning, my pain had gone from a 9 to a 1. And I wanted to share that with you. And it has been such a welcome relief because, I don't know if you've had chronic pain before. I have, and it'll drive you crazy, when you never get a respite from pain. And that's kind of how this woman was. So, being able to know and remember that she was the tennis player, it's in my notes. Now I can't remember, and that's why I take a lot of notes so that I can say, well, okay, so how did your son do? Your son with autism, so that personalization as you build relationships has been very, very successful for us.
It is so important. I mean, there's the very expensive process of getting someone's attention and getting them in the door. And then where a lot of the centers are not focused is on retention.
That's right.
And it's that relationship, and that's what I saw when we were there. That's what I was alluding to when we started the recording here, was that, and it wasn't just you train your people
Right.
to
Right.
be that same way also. And they were that way with us. I mean, it was like, really, they established a relationship immediately, the attention, the details, everything. And it was the opposite experience of the high school usher you in, to the seat
Right.
kind of thing. I mean, there was,
Get
it's
it over with.
the hand holding, we're here for you. We're here to take care of you. We're holding space for your process and your healing.
Exactly.
You spoke in Plano about marketing, and you are, I would have to say, and I have a marketing background myself, but I would have to say you're a marketing expert. You think that way. You look at things through the marketing lens, as it were. What advice can you give to centers? I mean, that the last year has not been easy, and that would be an understatement. And if there was an audience here, they might start throwing things at me. But it's challenging. It has been challenging. I feel like we're all getting on the other side of that now, and getting past that. Not that energetic has been put to sleep yet. Oh, if only. But talk to us about marketing and some of the things you've done that have made a difference, and advice that you can give to other center owners.
Okay. I mean, obviously, word of mouth is your best advertisement, and we have a generous referral program. So any client who refers someone to us, who buys even a 2-hour session or a package, we give the a referral 2 hours. And that's very motivating for people to get $120 value. And I think one of the things that I think a lot of center owners get stuck in is that in the beginning, when you've invested so much money and you're just kind of squeaking by, and maybe even putting money into EES, which we've done several times. So I think not being very generous. We are very, not just in our time and our caring and our nurturing, but we give a lot of sessions away. And it's also a problem solver. Say you've got somebody who messed up on their booking, or maybe I've had a problem. Maybe one of my people didn't show up, and I couldn't find somebody to replace them, and so I had to call the client and say, hey, I'm so sorry. We've had one of our volunteers not show up. I didn't know. When can I reschedule you? And for the inconvenience, let me drop 2 hours into your account. Well, that smooths things over right quick, So generosity, and people are fearful, but the key to abundance is to give. It's a universal law. It's a universal spiritual law. I don't need to tell you that, because you've given so much to the community and so much to the world and so much to EES, and it's all coming back to you. And so you have to know that even while you're scraping to make your bills, the more you give away, the more it comes back. Now, that can't be your reason for giving, because that'll screw it up. Right. But when you have that, I'm going to give you this, and I know that someday, some way, some shape or form, it's going to come back around to me. And so having that kind of a mindset, and so you give somebody 2 hours, they come in, they have a great experience, and they're going to talk about it. And then when they find out, oh, if I can bring somebody else, I get 2 more hours. You're kidding. So they're going to bring their friend the next time. So I can't say enough about giving. We have a little promotional piece that I put together, and it looks like this. It's about the size of a postcard. And it has the benefits, which we got off of EES. This is our new logo. We've just gone through a whole branding process. You might remember we had an owl before, which is very special to me. But we had a whole new, while we were in construction, we we traded out. We trade out EES for so many services. And so we had this really sharp gal who was a branding expert and a website expert. And so I traded her an astrology reading. I gave her 8 hours. I gave her a little bit of change. And she built us a beautiful website. We're still tweaking it. As you know, there's lots of tweaks. But we keep these. Every volunteer, every person who works for us has these in their car. Now, on the back, it has a paragraph about Dr. Michael and all of her accomplishments, has our address, and then it has a few things on the bottom. And back to the front, you can't see this, but on the bottom, I have coupon code and a line, and I have expiration on the line, and then another line for somebody's initials. So what that means is, say I'm gonna run a 40% off special. So I give all my volunteers and all my employees a stack of cards. They get their own special coupon code, and I do something to take care of them, whether it's hours or free lunch or whatever they want. Maybe it's a bracelet. Maybe it's an EES bracelet. So these coupon codes, because to be real honest, we don't sell that much at full price. And I just want people to realize that that's okay. And when people are more likely to buy if they know they're getting a discount.
Right.
So this is a little promotional piece that we use, and it also it tells us where things are coming from, where our people are coming from. Oh, Donna had 5 referrals, and sometimes we've given them cash. They'd rather have cash, so I'll give them 10% or whatever. Each situation is different. Marketing. So let's see. Obviously, a lot of center owners already know a lot of this, but trade shows, we went to a career fair at a local college and had these and had our, had videos running nonstop. We got some of those big, tall, vertical banners. Anything that we can find that we can attend, we're at, fairs, expos, anything like that. But again, I'm sure most people know a lot about that. Let me see.
Tell us, what's your most popular package that you sell? Like what's the ingredients of the most popular one?
We had a lot of people buy 8 hours, and we give you 4.
Okay.
Which is, you could translate that into a discount, but somehow in their mind they thought, oh my God, I've got 12 hours. That means I can go 6 2-hour sessions or whatever. And that's popular. In the beginning, we had a lot of $1,000 packages, and so those were already discounted. And then every month we would run another special, because the idea, as you know, Dr. Dream, is to get butts in chairs. Because once they try EES, and I've looked at these numbers, I would say at least 80% are going to be back, and they're going to buy a package, and they're going to be looking at what that next special is. Well, when are you going to run another 40% off special? And so, they most of our people don't pay full price. So again, it goes back to getting them in the door. Once you get them in the door, and once you take care of them and nurture them and make sure that they understand the post care. Okay, now, have you got your salt? Have you got this? Now sit down for a little bit before you get out in this heat. Those kinds of things. And that's why we try to always have at least two people at the center at the same time, so that you've got one person at the front who's always there selling products, answering questions, doing follow-up, and then you've got your second person, hopefully a volunteer, who's straightening up the room, folding blankets, rolling up blankets, picking up what people leave behind, putting it in the lost and found. So, that's not always possible. I mean, there were many days I was there by myself and had a full house. So, I was scrambling, to get to do everything. And if I didn't get to talk to somebody, like if they just shot out the door, I would text them later and say, hey, Julie, I didn't get to talk to you after the session. How was it? What did you think? So that follow-up care, again, that's marketing.
Right.
Follow-up care and relationships is marketing. And I think people don't always realize that. They think that the system is just going to sell itself. And so oftentimes it does. But that personal touch makes all the difference.
Now, tell us something else. Tell us about the intake process. So somebody comes in, how much information are you gathering? How much, what I know, like when I interviewed Alistair in Plano, he gets a lot of information. He's got a lot of people that come in with cancer, and he's got 100% cure rate. I mean, that's what came out of in that video that he told us. And part of it is that he really holds the line. He's like, okay, you've got stage 4 cancer. You've got to commit to 200 hours. You've got to commit to these changes in your diet and this and that. And he literally said that if they say, no, I can't make that commitment, then he says, there's another location in North London. They'll probably be that's more your speed or something. Yeah. How are you with that?
Which makes them want it even more.
Because they're really, like, you got something serious going on. You want someone on the other side to be really serious and not just sort of nonchalant about it. That's not going to do it. And his thing was, if they're not committed, they're just going to bring down my success rate, and I don't want that. And so how do you work that? How does that play in Austin?
We're not specializing necessarily in cancer, but because I've already spent a considerable amount of time with people on the phone, generally they're pretty much ready when they come in the door. Now, with our new center, what we're planning to do, because I can't be on the phone all day long every day, which is what I was doing in the beginning. We are going to offer a 15-minute consultation to anyone who wants it. Now, this is after they've already been talked to on the phone, but this will kind of shorten. Okay, well, let me book you for a consultation with me. And so then I can talk to them more about what their situation is. Maybe they've come out of chemo and radiation, and they're, maybe they're nervous about doing a 2-hour, and I might suggest, I don't suggest a 1-hour session very often, but if people are really, really compromised and their immune system is just shot to hell, I might say, let's start out on a 1 hour and let's work up. And people like that, because you're thinking about what's in their best interest. And then, and I might say, okay, let's do, what I'd like to see is that you do 2 2-hour sessions a week, and then let's bump it up to 4 hours next week. Now, they don't have to do that, but this is my recommendation based upon 3 years of doing this. But let's start, always start out with 2 hours. I've had people start out with 4 hours because I didn't have a chance to talk to them. And I would never discourage that, of course. If somebody wants, like one of our testimonials on our website, was a guy who couldn't lift his arm any higher than this, hadn't been able to for 3 years. And I was in a meeting and I never talked to him, and he came out of the session and he's raising his arm. He said, I haven't done this in 4 years. And so I never talked to him, and he has become a great client, a great referral server, and he's helped me out on a lot. He's a CFO consultant, so he has helped me on a number of financial matters that required more than my understanding. And so, I'm going to give you I'm dropping 8 hours in your account. Oh, great. For what you did for us. We've got an ESPN guy who's going to turn us on to a bunch of sports people. And he had already seen the results of EES. And so now we really, eventually, once we get rolling, I really want to focus on sports injuries and start going after these high school football athletic directors and junior. I'll start with junior college and get with those guys. Hand them out 20 of these. Right. And say, here's 20 of these for your best athletes if you want to get them in the game next week. You know, who's not going to take advantage of that? And then before long, after they've had, you know, a success and results, then we'll make a contract with them. We will, you know, say, okay, for X amount of months or X for a year, you know, and this price, we're going to give you 100 hours, and you divvy them up however you want. So I think there's huge potential in sports injuries and post-op. I can't remember what was your question.
No. I mean, we're talking all about marketing and the different ideas. These are great ideas. Well, how do you go about the post-op? Are you how does that approach work?
Well, I mean, I just always recommend it. I just say, you know, you're going to heal faster, and it's proven to be so. I mean, that's what's so wonderful is that this just works, you know. I mean, and so once it works, and I caution people. I say, you know, you may have pain relief right after your session, because we see it all the time. I said it may take 2 sessions, it may take 3 sessions, and you have to have that discussion about you know, this is not like the medical community, because invariably I'll get somebody calling saying, well, I've got fibromyalgia, how many sessions do I need? So then I have to do the whole education process. Well, this is not, I can't tell you that. Because everybody is individual and everybody is so unique. Everybody has different toxins in their body. Everybody has different genetics. Everybody has different mind attitudes. So all of this factors in. So this is just the opposite of how the medical community would approach it. So, you know, and then I've kind of got it down to the number one thing that we hear the most reports is pain and inflammation. The second is insomnia, help with sleep. The third is greater energy and endurance. You know, so I list all the things that, and then I share my own experience. I have reversed stage 3B kidney disease, and you know. I was told by the medical community, and I had no symptoms. So I was freaked out because stage 3B was knocking on the door of transplant dialysis. So I freaked, and we didn't even have our equipment yet. So once we did, I got in there, and man, within 3 months, I had reversed it. I have to stay on it. I have to stay diligent, but it's, sharing your own stories or sharing somebody else's stories, when they tell you what they are in the process of healing and you already remember a stories. Oh, well, I had a gal, you know, also with hip issues, and let me tell you what happened with her, and let me tell you what happened with the woman who came in with tremors. This is a great story. She came in, she couldn't sign the waiver. She pulls me aside and she said, I can't sign the waiver because I've had these since COVID and they can't figure out. I've had every test and they cannot figure out what's wrong with me. And I said, oh, don't worry about that. I said, just put an X and I'll fill it out for you after your session. I want to get you in there and get you started. So we had a full house. I get everybody in there, 10 people. I walk out of the room, and 8 minutes later, I realize I have forgotten to turn on the 528 hertz music, the Sophia frequencies. And so I tiptoe back into the room, and I'm at the tablet, and I'm trying, because it's only been 8 minutes, so nobody's really too sound asleep. And I'm at the tablet, and off to the left in my peripheral vision, I see motion, and I look over, and it's this gal. And she's with her mother-in-law and her sister-in-law, and they're all seated right next to each other. And she's going like this. And so I weave my way over to her and kneeled down beside her. And she held her hands up and did this. Big O tears coming down her face. Mother-in-law's crying, sister-in-law's crying. And that happened in 8 minutes, Doc. So when everybody came out, of course, she was still steady. Well, talk about marketing. Everybody saw and heard that. And, I think we got a couple of packages sold from that. So keeping your testimonials, we've got a whole bunch. We've got video testimonials, and then I don't think it's live yet, but I've taken a whole list that are just typed out and listed by disorder. Mm-hmm. So relating to them and letting them know that, oh yeah, my significant other had a very high PSA rate, and we've been able to drop his PSA from a such and such to a such and such. My cat with thyroid cancer, So stories. People want to hear stories because stories have pictures in the mind, and they respond to pictures more than they respond to words. And so stories are really, really good for marketing.
Now, Denise, I want to ask, what other services, modalities, or technologies have you incorporated at your last center, and what are you looking at incorporating in the new center?
Well, we really didn't have anything but EES at the old center. We had just come back from Plano, and where you and I were talking at the exhibit hall, we invested in H-Wave. And it's where you put sensors on and various parts of your body. And we invested in a couple of those units because she gave us a really great deal. And then we tried it on ourselves, and it worked. I mean, it worked for pain, and it was wonderful. And so we offer that for, I think, $40 for an hour, and we come in and we put all the sensors on while they're in the EES session, and take them off. That really was the only one that we had over at the old center. When we found out how good they were, we now rent them out for like a week, or they can rent it for a month, and we're selling them. We've sold 2 or 3 since then, and we haven't even been open for 3 months. So people love those. So that's one. We're going to have BrainTap, which I don't know a whole lot about. I did a trade for that. But I had heard of it and heard that, that it was good for, a lot of things. It's kind of a technology that's been around for a long time, but I don't know much about it. And we haven't actually tried it, but we're going to incorporate that. I do hands-on healing my center director. I'm teaching her about hands-on. So we're doing that in the EES room. So we'll do a 45-minute session with somebody on one of our, we have 2 twin mattresses. And plus, lots of different options for seating. Let's see what else. We hope to have an acupuncturist who had a clinic in Bozeman, Montana for 40 years, who's moving to town. And I think he's going to take one of our offices, and we'd like to have a massage therapist. The whole person healing. It wasn't just one thing that got you sick. It's not going to take just one thing. Oftentimes it does with the EES, but we recommend, and here's a great nutritionist, and she comes in one day a week, and so let's book you for that if you like. We're probably going to have a naturopath who will come in and maybe share a space with with one of our other practitioners. So we don't have a lot because we are so sold. We're so sold on EES for everybody. So, but we want to offer it. I'm going to be doing astrology readings. I'm going to be offering my mind, body, and spirit program, which is what my background is. EES is my side hustle. My real work is in this mind, body, and spirit. So I help people with their mind and their spirit. And that's why I was so excited about EES, was because it was more of the body piece. And even though I called it mind, body, and spirit, and certainly the mind and the spirit affects the body, but I didn't have a modality. And so that was one of the things. And then when I went to the EES website and saw mind, body, spirit, and science, and as you know, I've published, so it was like, woohoo, this is like the grand prize. I've hit the jackpot here, if this really works. So I loved that Sandra and Michael had been, using the mind, body, spirit, and science. And probably I could have copyrighted or trademarked that, because I started using it 25 years ago, that term, which now, you see everywhere.
Right. So tell us a little bit about the mind, body, and spirit, and how all that integrates and works.
Okay. Well, like I said, it has been my passion. I spent 8 years in metaphysical boot camp at the School of Metaphysics, and it was wonderful education. And I became a teacher and a national field director over 33 schools across the country. And then when I left that organization, I started writing my own curriculum. And I began to incorporate what I had already learned and was continuing to learn, and created my own curriculum and started teaching it, and then editing it, and then modifying it for different populations. The first population was multiple sclerosis. Now, mind you, I'd been teaching it for a number of years to what I call the relatively well public, because everybody's got something. Something right, that ails them. And so I had been teaching this program for 10 years, and I knew it was effective, but I didn't know if it would ever translate to a number, or anything that was scientific that could be recognized as that. So I began to, I collaborated with the University of Oklahoma Health Science Center, and I picked a disorder, and I picked MS. It was kind of a God thing that came to me. Okay, if I'm going to do this, if I'm going to do research, which I knew nothing about, and it was the furthest thing from my mind that I ever wanted to do, MS came to me. I had 3 people with MS who called me up about the mind, body, spirit classes. So it became obvious, okay, this is it. So I did I also brought on Tulsa Regional Medical Center. So I was with two major institutions to lend me some credibility. Taught in the MS program. I tweaked my Mind Body Spirit program for people with MS. And sure enough, I had statistically significant improvements. As far as the components of what I was teaching them is I teach about the mind and the spirit. So I have a conceptual model of how the mind works, how the conscious, the subconscious, the superconscious mind work, how they interrelate to one another. So obviously the mind and consciousness, the power of the mind, the power of your thoughts, and how to control your thoughts. When you have some control of your thoughts, then you have power in your ability to visualize. So visualization techniques, guided imagery, meditation, Kundalini healing, and dream work. So those are the major components of the Mind, Body, and Spirit program, which has now been taught at the University of Texas School of Medicine in their PhD program for holistic nursing. So that's quite a feather in my cap, because there really is no program like mine that has published results, and not just published results, but statistically significant published results. So that gives me a lot more credibility. So when I first heard about EES, I thought, oh my God, what's going to happen if I teach these people in the EES room? And guess what? I measured them all, and their improvements were 37% better than if I was just teaching it in a normal classroom. And so I proved my theory. And so what I want to do now is, I mean, I teach all the time, but I want to roll out this Mind, Body, and Spirit program to other centers, and so that they can have a Zoom class in their EES room, and that would also be a way that center owners can make a little bit of money. So I'm real excited about that. And if anybody, whether they're a center owner or somebody who's interested in the program who attends a center and they're interested in this, have your center owner contact me or call me yourself, or go to the website, Denise at EESAustin.com, because, it's probably going to take us 6 months to get that all ready. It's about halfway done. I actually have a 24-week program, but it's divided into 6-week modules that you could just take a 6-week and come back and do another 6-week the next 6 weeks. So that's my real passion. And I'm just finding exponential results adding that to the EES.
That's great. That sounds really important. I'm looking forward to hearing about it for our center in Kansas, and we'll help you get the word out to other centers. I mean, that's really what it's about. I've got to say, Denise, I've done a lot of these interviews with EESystem owners, and you're truly the first one that came to this really to help other owners. This wasn't to build your business or anything like that. You stepped up to help other owners, and that means a lot. Now, you're going to be. Are you doing what you did last time with the opening on this one? Are you pre-selling packages and things like that?
Yes. We've already sold some. We're holding back a little bit because we're wanting to work out the bugs on our booking system and our website. But because we got so many leads from EES just recently, we're going to send out an email just to those new ones say, hang on, we know you're there. We're reaching out and touching you. And we've got a brand new shiny off center for you to come to. And in a couple weeks, you're going to get an email about our grand opening. And then we'll send another email out. It's here. Yay, it's here. Coming. And we'll do a whole day where people can actually do a 1 hour or 2 hour session. But Dermot and I, my partner in EES, will do our little dog and pony show at the beginning of each session and do 30 minutes of, okay, I'm standing right here. This is the torsion field. And then, just talk about it and answer questions and then shut the door and let them experience it. That'll be part of our grand opening.
How many chairs are you going to have?
Well, I believe we will probably have about 15, but we've got kind of a long room and we want to, well, you remember how crowded the other space was. So we want to put a little more distance so it feels a little more private. So probably 15, I'm guessing.
And will you be offering overnights also?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And our overnights, I know a lot of people only do 8 or 10 hours. We do 12 hours because that way they have some leeway on either side, if they have to work late or whatever. And so absolutely. And, in our packages, somebody the other day just bought a package of, I think 100 hours plus 2 overnights. So we have different packages that include different things. And that can be located, if anybody wants to look at what we're doing. Oh, we're also doing something new where for 100, I think it's only like $160 a month, they get 8 hours and it's a recurring charge. So wow. They become a member and, it's up to them. If they don't, maybe we'll roll them over. Maybe we don't, I don't know. We haven't figured that out yet, but we think that's going to be real popular because that entices them to use those hours up if we do put a deadline. And that's what you want consistency. You want your people to make it a part. You don't just get one massage, you don't just get one acupuncture treatment. The same as, and if you can get some regularity with people, they're going to see greater results. Unlimited packages, those haven't been really successful, but I think they're going to be where, for X amount of dollars, you can come as many times as you want.
Right. Okay. Excellent. Now, in the beginning, you had said that you're kind of known as the queen of free marketing. Is there any other free marketing advice you want to give owners that would be helpful?
Well, we just updated our Google listing, and I think it's real important to always stay on top of that. We had one not so good review that said, I see you're charging full price and all the other centers are discounted. Well, that wasn't even true. So they had one of the other centers, had us confused. So you need to be able to address any of those kind of reviews. Since I'm old school, and did radio, and I was a freelance writer for a newspaper, I guess I should say that I used to be the queen of free media because it was all, it was radio and TV and that kind of thing. So one of the things I do want to do is I want to get on our local NPR station, and do some spots. When we start making a little bit more money, I want to do some, because that's, there's not many opportunities for live radio these days. Everything was gone by way of iHeart and
right.
everything else that's taken its place. Free media. I really can't think of anything else right now, Doc.
Well, I certainly appreciate all the information that you've put out. I can't wait to get this out there to the owners and everything like that. And I know you have made yourself available for owners to reach out and get more information.
Absolutely.
And things like that. We are, yes.
I remembered one. Have a practitioner's day. Do it every month or every other month, where you invite massage therapists, acupuncturists, chiropractors, medical doctors who are doing, into integrative or functional medicine. Give them a free session, talk about it. And psychotherapists, oh my God, they have given us so many clients, because oftentimes maybe they'll hit a brick wall with their client, and and so they need something to move them forward. And EES does that. So Practitioners Day and having events, which most owners already know about, but practitioners are a big source of our referrals. And again, we give them tours just like everybody else. So I'm sorry for interrupting you.
No, that's excellent. We are just sending you wonderful wishes for a good soft opening and a wonderful grand opening. And I'll be following up with you. And I know that my partners Terry and Jane were interested in speaking with you, and they had, we were so impressed with everything that you presented and talked about in Plano when we were all together earlier this year. So
Right.
I'll make sure and connect them. But Denise, thank you so much.
Get these volunteer programs going. Those volunteer programs are so important because they're passionate. If they've experienced it, and you got to handpick them. And let me just throw out a little formula, and that is when we have a really good volunteer, they volunteer for 8 hours. We give them 2 hours of EES. We had a volunteer coordinator, but the truth of the matter is, I don't care how many hours they get. If they're volunteering, by God, I'm going to have them in that center getting healed up.
Right. Excellent.
So volunteer program, very, very important.
Fabulous.
I'm sorry to keep continuing.
No, it's such good information. Interrupt me as much as you want. But we'll do a follow-up with you in the next year, after the first of the year. We need to talk about
dreams next time.
Yeah, well, that's going to be a whole nother, that's going to be just separate. That'll and everything. I'm looking forward to it. Denise, thank you so much. And on behalf of the owners community, we thank you. And your energy is as wonderful as ever. And Austin is lucky to have you there. And we're just wishing you the best with the expansion and everything you're doing.
Thank you so much. And I want to thank you for not only coming out and having a wonderful session with us, but really taking this and embracing the entire community. We need you and we appreciate you.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that.
Stephanie. I know she's there somewhere.
Yeah, but I'm going to tell her. She was super excited that I was getting to have this conversation with you. Thank you so much, Denise, and we will follow up with you.
Namaste.
Many blessings, dear.
Thank you.